If there was a world record for entering a coffee shop like you own the place, Karen would hold the gold medal. Maybe even a platinum one, because regular gold wouldn't be up to her standards. I was sitting in my usual corner, sipping a solid black coffee, no nonsense, no fluff, when the tornado in yoga pants burst through the door. The entire café, which had been a peaceful oasis of overpriced caffeine and quiet work sessions, went silent. Karen's hair was styled in a way that said, "I demand to speak to the manager," and her posture screamed, "I'm better than all of you." She strutted up to the counter, pushing ahead of an elderly man who had been patiently waiting to order. "Excuse me," she said, her voice sharp enough to cut through reinforced steel. "I need a special latte. Low-calorie, but not diet-tasting. And make it quick. I don't have all day." The barista, a college kid with a tired expression of someone who had witnessed too much caffeine-fueled entitlement, blinked. We have almond milk, oat milk, and sugar-free options if you'd like." Karen made a face like he'd offered her sewer water. No, no, no. I said I don't want it to taste like diet. Do you even know who I am? I come here every day. I casually glanced at the regulars, and judging by their confused expressions, nobody had ever seen her before. The barista, bless his underpaid soul, remained patient. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we can only make what's on the menu." Karen let out a loud theatrical sigh, the kind that belongs in soap operas. "This is ridiculous. The customer is always right. What happened to service in this country?" She slapped her massive designer handbag on the counter like it contained the secrets of the universe, causing a stack of napkins to flutter onto the floor. The poor barista started looking around for backup. And then, the real chaos started. She turned too quickly, her bag's momentum knocking into the coffee cup of an unsuspecting guy sitting near the counter. His freshly brewed Americano took a graceful swan dive onto the floor, splattering in an expensive display of brown liquid. "Oh my God," Karen shrieked, clutching her chest like she'd just witnessed a major crime. Then, she did what only a true Karen could do, she pointed at the guy. "That was your fault." The guy, still holding his now empty cup, blinked. "How exactly?" She scoffed, folding her arms. "Your table was in the wrong spot. Who puts a drink there?" "On a table? In a coffee shop," he said flatly. "Exactly." I took another slow sip of my coffee, already sensing this was going to be premium entertainment. The barista, still trying to salvage the situation, grabbed a mop. "Ma'am, I think." Karen cut him off. "Oh, don't you ma'am me. You should be compensating me for this emotional distress." That was when I knew. We weren't just dealing with an ordinary Karen. This was a final boss Karen. And I, for one, was ready to see how it played out. If Karen's sense of entitlement were a stock, it would have skyrocketed to an all-time high. The barista, who I now realized deserved a raise, a medal, and probably a free therapy session, was trying his best to clean up the spilled coffee while keeping Karen from combusting. "Ma'am, if you'd like, we can remake your drink, but..." Karen snapped a hand up like she was stopping traffic. "Oh no, no, no. I don't want some peasant remake. I demand compensation. I'm talking real compensation for this ordeal." She gestured wildly at the coffee spill, as if she had just survived a natural disaster. The guy whose coffee she had knocked over stood there, still holding his empty cup. "Are you asking for compensation for spilling my coffee?" Karen turned to him with the patience of someone forced to explain something obvious to a toddler. "Yes, because this wouldn't have happened if your table wasn't in the wrong spot." The guy looked down at his table, then back at her. "It's attached to the floor." The rest of the cafe was now fully invested. The elderly man she had cut in line was watching with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. A woman in the corner had paused her Zoom call to take notes like this was a sociology case study. Karen, sensing she needed to double down, turned back to the barista. "Where is your manager?" The barista took a deep breath. "Our manager isn't in right now, but..." Karen smirked like she had just won a chess match against a 5-year-old. "Well then, I'll just have to go above you." Then, in a move so dramatic it deserved background music, she pulled out her phone. She scrolled aggressively, then held it up as if brandishing Excalibur. I have 200 followers on my blog. Do you really want me to write a review about this? A silence fell over the room. Now, I consider myself a reasonable person. I like to believe in humanity. But at that moment, I nearly choked on my coffee trying not to laugh. 200 followers. 200. The barista blinked, clearly processing whether he should be concerned or honored. Karen, mistaking his confusion for fear, pressed on. That's right. I have reach. Influence. And I am not afraid to use it. The guy with the spilled coffee finally lost it. Oh no. Not the wrath of the micro-influencer. Whatever shall we do? I snorted into my coffee. Karen shot him a glare so intense it could have curdled milk. Mock me all you want, but I know people. I can make sure this place is blacklisted. Just wait until corporate hears about this. The barista, who had clearly given up on life at this point, sighed. Ma'am, this is an independent coffee shop. We don't have a corporate office. Karen's face twitched. For the first time, she seemed slightly off balance. What do you mean, you don't have a corporate office? It's locally owned, he explained, motioning vaguely toward the back of the shop. The owner is literally here every morning. You probably walked past him. Karen looked around as if expecting the owner to materialize and grovel at her feet. When no one did, she squared her shoulders and adjusted her overpriced bag. Fine, she huffed. Then I want a $50 gift card as an apology. The entire café went dead silent. Even the espresso machine sounded like it was holding its breath. The barista let out a slow exhale, as if physically restraining himself from throwing himself into the coffee grinder. Why would we give you a gift card? Karen scoffed. Because of what I've been through. The guy with the spilled coffee stared. You mean, what you caused? Karen ignored him, turning her laser-focused entitlement back onto the barista. Listen, I am trying to be nice here. But if you don't give me what I deserve, I will be forced to escalate this. To whom? The barista asked, his voice dangerously close to breaking. Karen lifted her chin. To the Better Business Bureau. At this point, I had to cover my mouth with my sleeve to muffle my laughter. The barista, to his credit, kept a straight face. Ma'am, you realize the BBB is not a government agency, right? Karen gasped like he had just committed blasphemy. Of course it is. No, he said flatly. It's a private company. Anyone can file a complaint. It's like Yelp, but in a suit. She looked genuinely taken aback. Well, then I'll just have to call the police for harassment. The coffee shop collectively inhaled. Karen, seeing everyone's reaction, seemed to mistake it for intimidation. She smirked, already mentally composing the tale of how she was a poor, mistreated victim. The barista, however, just gave her a long, exhausted stare. Please do. And that's when things went from hilarious to legendary. For a brief, beautiful moment, the coffee shop was silent. Then, in what I can only assume was her final attempt at a power move, Karen pulled out her phone, again, and pressed it to her ear. Yes, hello? Police? I need to report a business for harassment. I bit my lip so hard to stop myself from laughing that I nearly injured myself. The barista didn't even blink. The guy with the ruined coffee folded his arms, looking intrigued. A woman at the next table started recording. I could already hear the TikTok narration in my head. This lady called 911 over a latte. Karen, either oblivious or just drunk on self-importance, kept talking. Yes, I'm at Joe's coffee house, and they are refusing me service. No, I didn't do anything wrong. Excuse me, I am the victim here. I don't know who was on the other end of that call, but they must have said something she didn't like, because her expression darkened. No, I will not calm down. This is discrimination. I am a paying customer. You haven't actually paid for anything, the barista pointed out helpfully. Karen gasped, looking at him like he had just insulted her ancestors. "How dare you?" Then, before any of us could react, she did something so unhinged that I nearly dropped my coffee. She turned her phone around and pointed it at the barista like a weapon. "Say that again. You just admitted it. I have you on record." The barista sighed. "Ma'am, you just recorded yourself lying to the police." Karen froze. "And it was beautiful." The guy with the spilled coffee leaned in. "Oh, yeah. That's a false police report." Karen blinked. "What?" "False police report," he repeated, enunciating each word like she was an especially dense child. "Which is, you know, a crime." For the first time since she walked in, Karen looked genuinely unsure of herself. The coffee shop was dead quiet now, everyone staring at her like she was a rare, endangered species of entitlement on the verge of self-destruction. Then, like a glitching robot, she sputtered, it's not a false report if I felt harassed." "That's not how laws work," the barista said dryly. The woman recording chuckled. "Oh, this is going viral." Karen's eyes darted around the shop, suddenly realizing that she was very much not winning. She grabbed her bag, plastering on a fake, shaky laugh. "You know what? I don't need this place anyway. I'll take my business elsewhere." She turned to flounce out, but because Karma is a comedian, her bag caught the edge of a display stand. A dozen carefully arranged coffee bean bags toppled over in slow motion, spilling onto the floor like the aftermath of a tragic espresso massacre. The café burst into laughter. Karen's face turned an unholy shade of red. She stood frozen for a second, probably trying to decide whether to flee or double down. The barista, ever the professional, exhaled deeply. "Ma'am, please leave." Karen yanked her bag free, still fuming. "I am never coming back here." A voice from the back piped up. "Good." She whirled around, but instead of finding a meek, apologetic crowd, she saw a group of people barely holding back their laughter. For once in her life, she had no comeback. With a final huff, she stomped out the door, nearly colliding with a delivery guy on her way out. And just like that, she was gone. For a few stunned seconds, we all just stared at each other. Then the guy with the spilled coffee turned to the barista. "So, do I get a free refill?" The barista let out a long, suffering sigh. "Yeah, man. You earned it." The cafe erupted into cheers. As for me, I took a sip of my coffee, sat back, and made a mental note to come here more often. You cannot buy this kind of entertainment. If this had been any other morning, we all would have returned to our regularly scheduled programming, emails, overpriced pastries, and pretending not to eavesdrop on strangers. But Karen's departure left behind a kind of electricity in the air. The guy with the ruined coffee, who I had mentally started calling Coffee Guy, took his free refill with the smug satisfaction of a man who had just been through a ridiculous ordeal and come out victorious. The barista, meanwhile, wiped down the counter, muttering under his breath, "I swear, they don't pay me enough for this." Then, right as we were all about to move on, the cafe door slammed open again. Karen was back. I nearly choked on my coffee. She marched inside, her face redder than a sunburned lobster. But she wasn't alone. She had a man with her. Mid-50s, balding, and wearing the kind of suit that screamed, "I'm an important businessman, respect me." He looked like a low-budget lawyer who advertised on bus benches. Karen swept her arms dramatically. "This is the place." Everyone in the cafe collectively thought, "Oh no." The barista blinked. "Ma'am, why are you back?" Karen scoffed, as if he were the one acting irrationally. "Because I refuse to let this stand. And I have legal representation now." She gestured grandly at the man next to her. The man cleared his throat. "I'm a legal consultant." That was when I realized what was happening. This was not a lawyer. This was Karen's husband. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to stop myself from grinning. The husband adjusted his tie and stepped forward like he was about to argue in front of the Supreme Court. "I understand there was a disturbance here this morning regarding my wife's rights as a customer." The barista, whose patients had been tested more than a scientist in a nuclear lab, exhaled slowly. "Sir, your wife made a scene, knocked over someone's coffee, called the police for no reason, and demanded a $50 gift card. Then she left. We thought that was the end of it." The husband narrowed his eyes. "That does sound like an unpleasant experience for her." The café groaned. Karen folded her arms, smirking like she had just played the ultimate Uno reverse card. "And I have proof." She whipped out her phone, holding up the recording she had taken earlier. "This will destroy you in court." Coffee guy raised an eyebrow. "Wait. You mean the recording where you falsely reported a crime?" Karen blinked. "What?" The woman from earlier, who had been recording her, grinned. "Oh yeah, I got that whole thing too. Wanna hear it?" Karen paled slightly. Her husband hesitated. "Wait, you called the police?" "Obviously," she snapped. "I was being harassed." "By whom?" She floundered. "Everyone." At this point, her husband started looking like he regretted every life decision that had led him here. The barista, taking full advantage of the moment, smiled politely. "Sir, since you seem to be an expert on legal matters, I'm sure you're aware that filing a false police report is a crime, punishable by fines or even jail time." Karen gasped. "Excuse me." Coffee guy leaned back in his chair. "Oh, this is better than reality TV." The husband looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. "Karen, please tell me you didn't actually call the cops." She huffed. "I might have called them." He pinched the bridge of his nose. "And you told them what, exactly?" She crossed her arms. "That I was being harassed by the staff." The barista shrugged. "Would you like a copy of our security footage? It'll really help your case." Karen's face went through about 7 different emotions before landing on mild panic. Her husband rubbed his temples. "Karen, for the last time, we do not need another lawsuit." I perked up at that. "Another?" The entire café collectively perked up. Karen's mouth snapped shut. Her husband sighed. "Karen, let's go." "But..." He turned to her with the exhausted patience of a man who had fought this battle many times. "No. We are leaving." Karen stood there, looking like she was about to throw an Olympic-level tantrum. But with the entire café staring at her, her husband already walking toward the door, and her own phone recording being used against her, she had no choice. With a final dramatic huff, she turned on her heel and stormed out, again. This time, we were pretty sure it was permanent. The barista wiped his hands on a rag. "So, who needs a refill?" The café erupted into applause. I finished my coffee with the satisfaction of a man who had just witnessed something truly beautiful. Justice had been served. And it was delicious. The café was still buzzing from Karen's grand exit. It was like we had all just witnessed the season finale of a reality show, and now we were left reeling from the drama. Coffee guy leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. "Man, that was wild. I feel like I need another coffee just to process it." The barista chuckled. "You and me both, dude." People were still whispering amongst themselves, the whole shop alive with a kind of energy you only get after watching absolute nonsense unfold in real time. A few folks were still reviewing their phone recordings, undoubtedly getting ready to post their Karen encounter online. Then, just when I thought the chaos had finally settled, the cafe door opened again. This time, it wasn't Karen. It was a cop. A uniformed officer stepped inside, his expression neutral as he took in the scene. The entire cafe froze. Karen actually called the police. I took a slow sip of my coffee. This is about to be incredible. The officer walked up to the counter, looking at the barista. "We got a call about a disturbance here earlier." The barista, to his credit, stayed perfectly calm. "Ah. You must be here about the woman who falsely reported harassment." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Falsely?" Coffee guy grinned. "Oh yeah, officer. We got video proof of her making it all up." The woman who had recorded everything immediately held up her phone. "Want to see?" The officer, now looking mildly amused, took a step closer. Actually, yeah. That would help. We all huddled around as she played the recording, Karen's screechy voice coming through loud and clear. Yes, hello? Police? I need to report a business for harassment. The officer listened, his expression shifting from neutral to unimpressed real fast. When the recording ended, he sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. And this was taken before I was dispatched. Yup, the barista confirmed. The officer exhaled through his nose. Well, that's a false report. The cafe erupted in whispers. Coffee guy grinned. So, what happens now? The officer tilted his head. That depends. Do you guys want to press charges? The room went silent. Then, the biggest collective grin spread across the cafe. Oh, we absolutely do, the barista said. 100%, coffee guy added. The woman with the recording nodded. Let's make this a learning experience. I leaned forward. Officer, I feel like justice would taste best with a side of poetic irony. Is there any way you can go arrest her at home? The officer chuckled. Well, we do have her phone number and call logs. We can definitely follow up on this. A wave of joy rippled through the cafe. This was glorious. Karen had played the ultimate Karen card, and it had backfired spectacularly. The officer took down the cafe owner's contact info, who, funnily enough, had been sitting in the back the whole time, watching the drama unfold with mild amusement. Then, with a polite nod, he left, promising to look into the matter. As soon as the door closed, the cafe exploded into cheers. This is the best day ever, someone yelled. Coffee guy raised his cup. To justice. We all clinked our coffee cups together like medieval warriors celebrating a hard-won battle. And with that, we all settled back down, basking in the warm, caffeinated glow of a Karen finally facing consequences. But deep down I knew. This wasn't over yet. Because Karen? She wasn't the type to go down without a fight. And something told me. Round 2 was coming. For the next hour, the cafe was practically glowing with good vibes. People were laughing, swapping theories about what Karen's mugshot might look like, and treating Coffee Guy like a local hero. Then, just when we thought we'd seen the last of the final boss of entitlement, the cafe door slammed open. Again. And there she was. Karen. Round 2 had officially begun. Only this time, she wasn't just angry, she was furious. Her face was redder than an overcooked lobster, her carefully styled hair was slightly frazzled, and, oh, this was beautiful, she was holding a printed-out copy of some law she clearly didn't understand. I nearly lost it. She stormed up to the counter, slapping the paper down like it was a court order. I knew you people would try to pull something, she shrieked. The barista, already looking exhausted, sighed. Ma'am, please leave. Karen smirked. Oh no, I'm not going anywhere. I did my research. You can't call the police on me because according to this law, she tapped the paper furiously, I was within my rights as a consumer. I had to bite my lip to stop myself from laughing. The barista slowly picked up the paper, scanned it for a second, then flipped it around for the rest of us to see. It was a Wikipedia article. I actually wheezed. You printed out a Wikipedia page? Coffee Guy said, barely holding back laughter. Karen's smirk faltered, but she recovered quickly. It doesn't matter where it's from. The law is the law. The barista squinted at the paper. Ma'am, this is a page about the history of consumer rights in Canada. We were in Ohio. The entire cafe lost it. Karen's face twisted like she had just swallowed a lemon. Well, the principle is the same. The barista rubbed his temples. Okay, I'm gonna say this really slowly. You are banned from this cafe forever. Karen gasped. You can't do that. Literally, I can. I work here. You don't. She spluttered. I have rights. Yes, and we have the right to refuse service to people who cause a scene, falsely call the cops, and harass the staff. Karen's eye twitched. Then, in an act of pure desperation, she screamed, "I want my $50 gift card." That was it. That was the final straw. The cafe roared with laughter. I actually dropped my coffee cup from shaking so hard. Coffee guy wiped a tear from his eye. "You're still on that?" Karen, fully melting down now, stomped her foot. "I deserve it." The barista, officially done, just pointed to the door. "Leave. Now." "Make me," she challenged. And that's when the owner, who had been chilling in the back this entire time, finally decided to step in. This dude was built like a retired linebacker. He stood up, cracked his knuckles, and walked to the counter. "Ma'am," he said, voice low and deadly calm. Karen turned and visibly flinched. "If you don't leave," the owner said, "I'll be pressing trespassing charges on top of the false police report you already made." The color drained from her face. You wouldn't dare." He slowly pulled out his own phone. "Want to test me?" Karen's eye twitched. She looked around the cafe, realizing that she had lost. Again. Then with one final dramatic huff, she grabbed her stupid Wikipedia printout, quickly turned, and stormed out for the last time. As soon as the door shut behind her, the cafe erupted into cheers. Someone even started clapping. Coffee guy raised his cup. "To Karen, the gift that keeps on giving." The owner just shook his head. "I'm getting security cameras installed tomorrow." I leaned back in my chair, sipping what was left of my coffee, grinning. This had been the greatest morning of my life. After Karen's third and hopefully final exit, the cafe had the energy of a town celebrating after a dragon had been slain. People were still buzzing, laughing, and reliving the chaos. Coffee guy was sipping his second free coffee like a man who had won the lottery. "I can't believe she actually printed out a Wikipedia page." The barista shook his head. "Honestly? That was my favorite part." The owner, who had gone back to his usual seat, was still grumbling about installing security cameras. "I swear if she comes back again, I'm putting up a Karen ban list right next to the menu." I grinned. "Make it a wall of shame. Print out a still shot from the security footage and slap it up for everyone to see." The owner laughed. "You joke, but I'm actually considering it." We all assumed Karen had finally given up. Oh, how naive we were. Because 10 minutes later, a brand new character entered the scene. A teenager, maybe 16 or 17, walked in. She had the distinct look of someone who had been forced into this situation, complete with a deadpan expression and a phone in her hand. She sighed as she approached the counter. "Hi," she said, her voice flat. "My mom says she wants an apology." The entire cafe went silent. I had to physically turn away to hide my laughter. The barista blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" The teen exhaled through her nose, clearly done with life. "She's waiting outside. In the car. She says if you don't apologize, she's gonna leave a 1-star review on Yelp." I nearly fell out of my chair. "Oh, this is gold," Coffee Guy whispered. The owner, who had been stirring his coffee like a man contemplating all his life choices, slowly stood up. "Let me get this straight." He folded his arms. "Karen is outside in her car, and she sent her own daughter in to demand an apology?" The teen nodded. "Yup." The barista pinched the bridge of his nose. "Ma'am, please tell your mother that Yelp reviews don't matter when we don't even use Yelp." The teen nodded again. "Figured." Then, without another word, she turned and walked out. We rushed to the windows to watch. Sure enough, there was Karen, sitting in the driver's seat of an SUV, arms crossed, waiting expectantly. Her daughter got in the passenger seat, said something, and Karen's face immediately fell. Then she threw her hands up in frustration, slammed the steering wheel, and peeled out of the parking lot. The entire cafe cheered. Again. Coffee Guy was dying. Her own kids sold her out. The woman with the recording held up her phone. "Someone get that girl a Starbucks gift card as a reward." The owner, shaking his head, turned back toward the counter. "All right, now it's finally over." I grinned. Are you sure? She might send her husband back next. Coffee guy snorted. Or her lawyer. Who, to be clear, is also her husband. The barista sighed dramatically. If she sends her dog in next, I'm quitting. The laughter was loud enough to shake the walls. And just like that, Karen had finally lost. With Karen officially gone, and her daughter likely reconsidering every life choice that led her to this moment, the cafe finally started to return to normal. Or at least, we thought it did. Until about 20 minutes later, when the barista's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then groaned so loudly that everyone turned to look. Oh, come on, he muttered. Coffee guy perked up. What? What happened? The barista turned the screen around for us to see. It was a brand new Yelp review. From Karen. And it was a masterpiece of insanity. Avoid this place. Worst customer service ever. Staff is rude, unprofessional, and possibly dangerous. The manager refuses to respect loyal customers. I come here all the time, and they treat me like garbage. The coffee is awful, the tables are unsafe, and the barista is a liar. I was physically threatened just for requesting a drink my way. I will be contacting the Better Business Bureau and the Chamber of Commerce. Avoid at all costs. The cafe collectively lost it. Oh, that is unhinged, I said, wiping tears from my eyes. Coffee guy gasped, pointing at a specific line. Did she say physically threatened? By who? The owner, sipping his coffee like a man who had seen far too much nonsense today, just muttered, Guess I'm a liar now. The woman with the recording grinned. Should I post the actual footage of her meltdown in the replies? The barista perked up immediately. Oh, absolutely. Do it. Right now. She did. And within minutes, the review was flooded with replies. People who had been at the cafe that morning piled on. I was there. Karen threw a tantrum and knocked over someone's coffee. This review is total garbage. She literally called the cops for no reason. If anything, they should be leaving a 1-star review on her. I was the guy whose coffee she ruined. Should I post the dry cleaning bill? LMFAO, I recorded the whole thing. Enjoy, Internet. Attached, a link to the video. And then, the absolute cherry on top. Someone replied to Karen's review, with a screenshot of her own Yelp account, which showed that she had left 1-star reviews on at least 50 other businesses. Coffee guy was crying with laughter. She does this everywhere. The woman with the recording was grinning so hard she looked ready to explode. Oh my God. She's a serial Yelp terrorist. The barista shook his head. This woman wakes up every morning and chooses violence. I refreshed the page. Karen's review was already at -57 votes. Her meltdown video was spreading like wildfire. And the best part? An actual representative from Yelp replied, Dear Karen, our moderation team has flagged this review for investigation due to multiple reports of inaccuracies. If you believe this was an error, please contact our support team. She was getting flagged on her own battlefield. Justice had never tasted so sweet. And we weren't done yet. The Yelp review fiasco escalated fast. Karen had probably expected people to blindly believe her sob story, but what she didn't expect was the cafe's customers, and oh boy, the entire internet, turning against her. Within an hour, her review was sitting at -200 votes, buried under dozens of replies calling her out. But Karen? She wasn't going down without a fight. The barista refreshed the page and groaned. Oh my God, she's replying to everyone. We all rushed to read the disaster unfold. She had gone full keyboard warrior mode, typing furiously under every negative reply. You weren't even there. Stop harassing me. To someone who was very much there. This is cyberbullying. I will sue for defamation. She absolutely would not. You people don't know who you're messing with. We absolutely did. Coffee guy was wheezing. Oh, she's losing it. The owner, who had been watching this mess unfold with the same energy as a tired dad on a road trip, shook his head. If she keeps this up, Yelp's gonna ban her entire account. And then, like a gift from the universe, we refreshed the page again. And boom. Karen's review was deleted. We stared at the screen in stunned silence. Coffee Guy let out a dramatic gasp. They nuked her. The barista cackled. Yelp's moderation team just did what generations of retail workers dream of doing. But we weren't done yet. Because Karen, in her infinite wisdom, decided to take the war to Facebook. And it was glorious. Over on her public Facebook profile, because of course she had it set to public, she had written a massive rant about how she was the victim of a vicious attack at the coffee shop. She had included every detail, but, edited slightly to make herself sound like a saint. According to her, she had been physically assaulted, she wasn't touched. Humiliated in front of her many fans, 200 followers, most of whom were bots. Denied service, she never actually ordered anything. Threatened by an angry mob, you mean the people laughing at you. The best part? She tagged the cafe in the post. The entire cafe lost it. Oh my god, she's making it worse, the barista wheezed. The owner sighed, rubbing his temples. I should send her a thank you card for all this free publicity. And then, like karma on steroids, the comments started rolling in. Hundreds of people flocked to her post. Some were from the cafe. Some were random internet strangers who had seen the video. And they tore her apart. Oh, I saw the video, lady. You threw a tantrum over a latte. 200 followers is not fame, Karen. My dog has more followers than you. You called the police because you didn't like the menu. Seek help. Then someone, some absolute hero, posted a screenshot of her deleted Yelp review. And someone else? Posted a zoomed-in still frame of her Wikipedia printout. The internet was merciless. And then came the best comment of all. It was from Karen's own daughter. The same girl she had sent in earlier. And it simply said, Mom, stop. You're embarrassing me. The cafe erupted into cheers. We had won. Karen's own child had thrown her under the bus. And it was beautiful. As we watched the chaos unfold, the barista turned to the owner. Sue, should we, respond? The owner, sipping his coffee with the satisfaction of a man watching karma in real time, shook his head. Nah, he said, grinning. Let her dig her own grave. And boy, did she. Because just when we thought it was over, Karen made one final, fatal mistake. And it would cost her everything. At this point, Karen was in full meltdown mode. Her Yelp review? Deleted. Her Facebook rant? Hijacked by reality. Her own daughter? Publicly embarrassed for existing. But instead of taking the L like a normal human being, Karen doubled down. And this? This is where she sealed her fate. Roughly 20 minutes after her Facebook post turned into a roast session, we noticed a new update. Karen, bless her delusional little heart, decided that if Yelp and Facebook weren't on her side, she'd go nuclear. She emailed the cafe. And not just any email. A legal threat. Well, her version of a legal threat. The owner was the first to see it. He opened his laptop, read the subject line, and immediately started laughing. Okay, he said, wiping a tear from his eye. You guys have to hear this. We gathered around as he read it aloud. Subject, cease and desist immediately. To whom it may concern. This email serves as a formal legal notice. Your business has slandered my reputation and committed harassment against me. You have also allowed cyberbullying against me on social media. I have recorded evidence of the abuse I suffered at your establishment, and I will be forwarding this to my legal counsel. If you do not immediately issue a formal public apology and compensate me in the amount of $500 for my distress, I will be forced to take legal action against you. Consider this your final warning. At the end of the email, she even attached a screenshot of her own deleted Yelp review, a photo of the coffee shop from Google Maps, what? And the same Wikipedia printout. I had to physically leave the room to laugh. Coffee guy was losing it. She still thinks Wikipedia is a legal document? The owner chuckled. Oh, this is too good. The barista folded his arms. So, what's the plan? You gonna ignore it? The owner grinned. No, no, no. I think we should reply. And oh boy, did he reply. Subject, cease and desist immediately. Dear Karen. Thank you for your email. We have reviewed your concerns and are pleased to inform you that we do not negotiate with keyboard terrorists. Yelp has already removed your false review. We assume their lawyers are more competent than your legal counsel. Your own daughter publicly asked you to stop embarrassing her. Please respect her wishes. As for your demand for $500 in compensation, we regret to inform you that we must decline your generous offer to be scammed. However, we do have a special deal available for you. If you would like to file a real lawsuit, we would be delighted to provide a copy of your false police report, your multiple threats on social media, and footage of you knocking over a customer's coffee, which we're happy to share with a judge. We will be happy to send these materials to both the local authorities and our actual lawyer, who, unlike your husband, actually passed the bar exam. Please let us know if you would like to proceed. We'll bring the popcorn. Have a wonderful day. P.S. Wikipedia is not a legal source. We sincerely beg you to Google this. We sent it. And within 5 minutes, we got a one-word reply. You'll regret this. Then, like a Christmas miracle, she deleted everything. Her Facebook rant? Gone. Her Yelp account? Deactivated. Her 200-follower influencer career? Dead in the water. It was over. The café rejoiced. Coffee guy ordered another coffee just to celebrate. Dude, this was the best morning of my life. The woman with the recording grinned. This was better than a Netflix special. The owner chuckled, shutting his laptop. All right, folks. Karen is officially cancelled. Drinks are on the house. The café cheered. I sat back in my chair, sipping my coffee, relishing the absolute spectacle I had just witnessed. This wasn't just justice. This was caffeinated karma at its finest. And I was so glad I got to witness it. A week after the Karen incident, the coffee shop put up a brand new sign near the register. It read, "The customer is not always right. We reserve the right to refuse service to Karens." And below it, a printed-out still frame of Karen mid-meltdown. A legend was born that day. And since that day, this cafe has become my only place for coffee. Thank you for listening to this story about Karen's caffeine karma. Please share in the comments where you are from and if you enjoyed it, and see you next time.